From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Tell me how did you defeat him? Call me Mr.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, is it possible the next week can look something like a previous opener versus the SEC for the Noles? Jayson Jenkins healing like Wolverine. What's it mean for week one? And we get to the rest of the Renegade Express mailbag. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. A synergistically formulated energy shot to give you that 7 hours of energy to get you through your workday, everybody. And then also give you some added benefits via the vitamins and no sugar, focus, hydration, your immune response, the pump in the gym, your mood. You can all get better by just taking a little shot that you can carry wherever you're going. Put it in the gym bag, put it in the top drawer of the office desk. And like I said, I like to put some out there for everybody else, generally speaking. Just put it out in the break room, see what happens. Productivity starts shooting through the roof. All with one little bottle. It's called Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Noles behind the operation. Shake it and take it. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. Also Noles behind that operation as well. Won't you come home, everybody? Join us. $1 for a week of access. Try it. You're going to really, really, really like it, especially this time of year. A lot of hope starting to bubble onto the surface, Corey. I was at the gym on Thursday. Bumped into one of our valued subscribers who I shouted out a few months ago. And he's like, hey, man, I'm feeling good right now. He's like, I went and saw them practice last week. Looks like a team that's hungry. They're ready. So starting to feel a little bit more of that as I go through town. I'm sure you do, too, when you bump into all your friends over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill as well.
Yeah, man. Hope is a beautiful thing,
It
Aslan.
is.
Hope is a beautiful thing. It's crazy that we're here hoping. When 2 years ago you had one of the best teams in the country, maybe with your quarterback, the best team in the country. And now you're hoping to be pretty good, but that's that's where we are.
It is.
There's no use complaining about it. That's where we are. That's where the program is. I've seen that too. A lot of hopeful optimism, but not delusional.
Yeah.
Most anyway are not delusional about what they think this season can be.
Yeah, I think my mind is slowly beginning to get changed because I was very much this game is a bellwether barometer indicator of where the season's going to go. And after talking to our subscriber, he's a very realistic fan, and he was like, he's like, do I think they're going to have a better season this year? Obviously, relatively speaking. He's like, do I think they're going to beat Alabama? Probably not. He's like, but if they can beat Virginia, and then we see, how Miami looks, season starts over again. You do have this reboot opportunity, yep. So as much as I want to be like, beat Bama and then the world's your oyster, I almost think about the question we got asked on the show yesterday, Corey, about how many consecutive wins would you need to see to think this is a playoff team. Again, I don't know just how great Alabama is this year, but if Florida State beats Alabama, listen, I'm not blocking off the first Saturday in December, but I am probably having to kind of factor in a little bit for the next 3 weeks that, hey, like I might be busy the first weekend in December. I might be busy in late December when this playoff starts. So I think even that one win could do something, and maybe I just won't let a loss, if it were to happen, get me too off schedule. I got off schedule because we're just going right to the show, and I didn't even ask you how you're doing, Corey, but I trust you're doing well.
I'm doing great, Aslan. Okay. Thanks so much for asking.
Right.
I mean, yes, an Alabama win changes the I don't know, the ceiling significantly, I think, for Florida State fans. If you win that game, all of a sudden you're like, well, wow, who should we lose to? But it's one game. It's a season opener. I say that because, look, man, Florida State, it's just the ebbs and flows of football. You could choose any school you wanted to do the exact same, theory that I'm about to lay out there. But like in 2021, Florida State looked pretty darn good in their opener. We're competitive against Notre Dame, kind of got a couple of bounces in the fourth quarter, ended up going to overtime with Notre Dame, and you're like, holy cow, they've turned it around. Well, no. The next 3 weeks, they were awful. That first half of the Louisville game is one of the worst halves of football that's ever been played in that stadium. But they turned it around. And the team at the end of the year, especially with Jordan Travis at quarterback, going into that Florida game, was a top 25 caliber team after losing to Jacksonville State. The next year, I don't know. They played with Duquesne, so I guess that doesn't really count. 2023, the best game of Norvell's tenure, by far. By far, the most impressive, best game of his tenure was that game against LSU in the opener. But when you look at the whole season, that offense never really clicked like that again.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't. Now that LSU defense was woefully bad. But you think about the Clemson game, Florida State was, I want to say, like a touchdown favorite in that game. I guess they covered. Because they went to overtime. They were not doing much at all until this 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter. That offense did not look good. The defense was kind of getting moved over and not playing well until the Deloach. Like, the point being, that first game wasn't necessarily a harbinger of this team is unbelievable. It's, well, if this team plays well, it can play with anybody in the country. So the 2023 season opener didn't portend to, okay, by week 10, they're going to be unbelievable. They kind of, the offense anyway, the defense kept getting better and better, but the offense kind of just, I don't know, stagnated, was stuck in mud. That was their best game, was the first game. The point I'm trying to make, I'm going to get to it, I promise, is that's why I'm trying not to put too much stock into what one opener looks like, because good and bad. And I would say this about, I know I used the Notre Dame game as an opener when they actually did play well, but let's say the Jacksonville State game was that opener. Well, that didn't dictate the rest of the season. Like 3 weeks later, after that disaster, they were knocking off a top 15 North Carolina team on the road. It looked pretty darn good doing it. So things change. Things get better. Players get better. Coaches get better. They adjust. They figure out who can play and who can't. And so that's why I've said since the schedule came out, well, everybody knows I didn't want them to play Alabama anyway. But since the schedule came out, I think that Virginia-Miami in
Stretch.
8 days,
Yeah.
the 2 games in 8 days,
Oh, yeah.
that's the stretch that I think will define what this season is going to be.
Right.
Because it's awesome if you beat Alabama. It'd be great. If you lose at Virginia, who cares? But if you lose to Alabama and beat Virginia and beat Miami, all of a sudden, man, you're on a 4-game winning streak and you're 2-0 in the ACC and you're playing games that matter. And I don't think me sitting here right now in August saying winning at Virginia and beating Miami at home, that's not delusional to think that can happen. That's not. I'm not off my rocker thinking you could beat big bad Virginia in always perpetually overrated Miami at home with a quarterback that we don't know what he's going to look like. I don't think that's asking too much. I don't think that's expecting too much. That is a winnable stretch. And then all of a sudden, you've won 4 games in a row, and you're probably ranked or close to ranked, and you're at the top of the ACC. You're 2-0, and you're on your way to contending for Charlotte.
Yeah, to bookend that, what I was thinking, I've not made my game prediction yet, obviously. We'll do that next week on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Everybody tune in.
Let's go.
But we talked about Florida State LSU 2023. What if we're LSU this time around, right? Like, LSU was up at half, but then the second half, Florida State kind of pulled away. I mean, LSU got a garbage touchdown. We got a garbage touchdown. So it probably should have been like a 31-17, 31-14 kind of final. But then LSU ends up going on and winning like 10 of their next 11 or something crazy like that. So actually they lost 3 games that year. So you do the math for me.
Yeah, I
Corey.
think they lost like a 62-55 game.
55-49 to Ole Miss at Ole Miss, and then they lost.
And then they lost to Alabama, right, when Jane Daniels got hurt at halftime.
Yeah. So, and that team probably, I mean, they finished the season, the regular season, they were 14th, and they went and they beat Texas A&M. So that probably puts you in the conversation. Again, that's the SEC, though.
For a playoff.
Yeah, for a playoff spot. So, yeah, I mean, I think very much, like Tommy's sort of athleticism, his unpredictability can maybe do something the way that Jaden Daniels' athleticism kind of carried LSU in the first half, but then the second half, the better team just ends up kind of imposing their will and pulling away. So maybe that's kind of our lot this season. But again, if they end up being 9-3, you might have some sort of crazy outside chance of making it to Charlotte, and then we see what happens, and then wherever the chips fall. So,
I guess my thought, really, honestly, is out of these first 5 games, I'm not assuming Virginia is a win, but by God, you should beat Virginia. You should go up there and be able to beat Virginia. So if we're saying those, you've got 2 automatic W's, and let's say Virginia, you have an 85 to 90% chance of winning. I just think it comes down to the Miami and Alabama game. Win one of them. And honestly, as we've talked about all offseason, Miami is the more important game for what you're trying to accomplish in a season, because if you win that game, all of a sudden you do have real goals about winning the ACC or getting to Charlotte. But just win one of those two. You play two marquee games, quote unquote, in your first 5, both at home. If you win one of them, you feel pretty darn good about what this season can be. And at the very least, it's going to be enjoyable. If you lose both of them, you're in real trouble. You're in real trouble because you still got Clemson and Florida at home. That means if you're losing to Miami and Alabama at home, and you've got Clemson and Florida on the road, those
NC
seem like
State,
likely
Friday
losses.
night,
NC State
tricky.
seems like a probable loss. Now you're staring at 5 losses. Now you can go pull upsets. You can go win games. They aren't played on paper. But you start to feel like if you're 3-2 after 5 games, and God forbid if you're 2-3 after 5 games, but if you're 3-2 after 5 games, then you start to wonder where's this season going. But I think that's at least you'll have a sample size, Aslan. That's 5 games. Yeah. We'll kind of get an idea of what this team is after 5 games. I just don't know that you will have any real idea of what the ceiling will be, or maybe the floor, both, honestly, after 3 hours against Alabama. But I'm hoping they win, and it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that they can win this game.
But Corey, you were kind of ahead of the curve last year after the Georgia Tech game. Like, you looked at that game and you're like, I got some concerns. And those concerns were pretty darn accurate. So what is it about that game last year you think that gave you more accurate forecasting data than what the Alabama game might offer up?
Because I didn't think Georgia Tech was all that talented on defense, and you couldn't move them. You had a great drive to start the game, and then a bunch of you had to kick a 59-yard field goal, a 50-something yard field goal. You had to convert a 4th and 8 because they played a ridiculous defense that blitzed the safety and left Malik Benson open so he could get down to the 1. After that first drive, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors to do anything, and that was concerning. Now, I think they only had the ball 6 times, which was also concerning. They couldn't get off the field on defense, which the defensive line was supposed to be a strength, and it was not. And that was that. And again, Georgia Tech had a fine offense, not a bad offense at all, but it wasn't Ohio State. And you kind of got pushed around and moved around and couldn't get off the field like we thought this defense would be. And it was 24-21, but it was such a low possession game that it's like, golly, that defense did not look like a top 10 type defense. It did not look like a championship defense at all. Obviously, the offense didn't either, and it was Georgia Tech. So I knew Georgia Tech was a decent team, but not Alabama. Like, if you can't move Alabama off the ball, that doesn't mean your season. I just think they were going to play so many teams similar to Georgia Tech in talent. And I don't know that they're going to play a lot of teams similar to Alabama in talent. So when you can't move Georgia Tech off the ball or Georgia Tech pushes you around on defense, it's like, well, it stands to reason that Boston College might be able to do the same thing. Boston College probably is as good or close to as good as Georgia Tech. Same with Memphis. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh, God, what is this? So that's what had me concerned is what the opponent relative to how you played.
Come join us Friday, everybody, a week from now. Alabama Eve, some call it, season opener Eve, as Home Field Apparel comes to Tallahassee on the first stop of their can't-miss kickoff tour, presented by Modelo. In partnership with our friends as well over at Garnet and Gold, they will be at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill from 5 to 9 o'clock on Friday night, next Friday night, the 29th. We're going to record a live show. Maybe we won't record the actual show, but we will perform some sort of live entertainment for you, which sounds weird, right? Like we're a Vegas show act or something, you and I, Corey, right? Like,
I got my cowboy hat and my glitter boots. Yeah. We're going to put on a show.
Show up early. You'll be rewarded handsomely. Free wings for the first 100 fans. Best wings in Tallahassee, I say. Free Modelo drafts for the first 200 fans, and there will be a raffle for 2 tickets to the Alabama-Florida State game, plus a first look at new Home Field and Garnet and Gold exclusive apparel. Wear Home Field or show proof of purchase from Garnet and Gold in the past month, and I think you'll get some sort of perk, maybe a ticket into the raffle. So show up to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, and that's a week away. But in the meantime, you should go out to the CP as well. Happy hour weekdays, 4 to 7 p.m., all day Sunday, trivia on Tuesday, bingo night on Thursdays.
Tom and the Cats, Saturday night, little live music to get you. It'll be after Farmageddon with Iowa State and Kansas State, but it should be right around Stanford, Hawaii. So you got some real college football to watch, and you got good live music, playing 80s covers, 90s covers. Good stuff. You'll like it. Tom and the Cats.
Farmageddon. That's incredible. Shout out to whoever came up with that slogan. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Florida State is in the midst of a 7-day stretch of consecutive days of practice. It's their game week-esque schedule, if you will. So we spoke to them on Thursday. We will not get access to the team today, Saturday, nor Sunday. So I'm assuming, Corey, that maybe they do some sort of scrimmage on Saturday, and then Sunday's kind of their post-game walkthrough. But who we did speak to on Thursday was safeties coach Evan Cooper. But I think maybe more importantly to a lot of people listening, Corey, was Jayson Jenkins, a defensive lineman transfer from Tennessee, injured his Achilles really early on this year when he showed up to Tallahassee working out on his own with his own personal trainer. But to hear him talk, his sort of maturity, his focus, and obviously the level of preparedness he has, he sounds like he's going to be part of the plan, part of the rotation, and hopes to make an impact against Alabama, which is something I did not think I would have said a month ago, and especially not 5-6 months ago.
Yeah, man, it's a really cool story for him. Like I've talked about here the last few weeks, a little worrisome that he might be a part of the rotation coming off an injury like that. But if he is healthy, like he wasn't brought here to be a fourth stringer, like he was brought here to play. It was a bummer that he didn't get to play at all in the spring, and it looked like he was probably going to be lost for the year. You know, it's not easy to recover from those Achilles injuries. But the fact that he's progressed enough where he's doing everything. He said he's 100%. He said he's ready to go. He's ready to play. I think Norvell said they're still trying to work him up to see what the availability will be like for game one, but he is out there practicing every day. Apparently he went through scrimmages. So, I don't know what he is. I don't know how valuable he's going to end up being, but I know he will be of value. I don't know. He's not going to be Darrell Jackson, but he will be of value because he is a large human being that can play multiple positions on the line of scrimmage. He's listed at 6'6", 275. They don't make a lot of the people built like that. And just, again, it's another grown man strength. It's his fourth year of college football. He's 22, 23 years old. You need these guys. And he's also, like Gunnar Hansen, who we talked about on yesterday's show, you like guys that have played against Alabama that aren't going to be overwhelmed or rattled by playing Alabama. He knows what that group is like. He knows they're strong. He knows they're powerful, but he's gone against them. He knows exactly what it is to play in the SEC against SEC teams. He's a big dude that's played some football in his life. I'm not expecting him to be a star. I'm really not expecting him to be a starter. But if you can get 18 snaps, 20 snaps from him, where he gives you a pretty good play, solid effort, doesn't kill you, isn't a true freshman getting mowed over, but holds up to the big old strong dudes on Alabama's offensive line, I think you've got some guys that can do that. You know, I'd like a few more 320-pounders. I feel like Darrell Jackson's the only guy on the defensive line that's over 300. That I don't know what McCray's listed at, but Jenkins, James Williams, obviously.
I don't think
Diggs.
Jim
I don't know
did,
that. Yeah, I don't think Diggs is a 320-pound guy. I'd like a
Lyons,
few more.
Sampson. Yeah, I don't think those guys are over 300. Yeah,
And they
McCray's
never
listed
get
at
mentioned.
274 or 287.
Yeah, they're all about 275 to 285, which is fine. I don't mind that necessarily as long as they're strong. But they might be able to be moved out of the way a little bit more than Darrell Jackson, who's a freak strength-wise. So anyway, but I do think you throw enough bodies at Alabama, 280, 285, 275, big guys that are strong and grown men, like all these guys are. They are grown men. They are grown man strength. That might make it a little more difficult for Alabama. It's good to have that. It's good to have him as an option, I guess I should say.
Apologies. Daniel Lyons, 302.
All right, Daniel Lyons. I wonder how he's wearing it. Again, we have not heard him mentioned once.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean maybe he's the secret ingredient, Aslan. Maybe he's a secret weapon.
They got KJ Sampson at 318. That's crazy.
The reason I'm not bringing them up as 300-pounders is because we have not heard them mentioned once.
Okay, I got you.
So that's why I know they're a little bit bigger, but they don't get talked about ever. So I feel like it's It would have been Kevin Wynn. I feel like maybe the Desir twins are a part of it. I think McCray, Diggs, Williams, Jackson, and Jenkins are your guys who are going to be rolling out on that defensive line.
What do you think when you hear Jenkins talk about how versatile he is, where he can play, wide 9 technique, which is, way outside the tackle as an edge rusher, and then, all the way inside at a 2. Does that make you excited about what he can be, or do you think that that's like jack of all trades, master of none? I kind of, think it's more of the latter, but maybe with this team not having enough defined roles and guys that have done it, that maybe the versatility is a perk for Florida State and their sort of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like that's the nature of the defense, right? Like every defensive lineman we've talked to, literally every one, maybe not Kevin Wynn, but all the other ones talked about how Kevin Wynn did too. They had been used at every position. I just think that's how they train them. They train them to mix and match. Like sometimes you'll be right over the center, sometimes you'll be out wide. You don't want the offense to know exactly where you are, what you're going to be lining up for. So it's some of it's about confusion, some of it is about versatility, some of it's about getting your best 3 or 4 guys on the field. Like if Darrell Jackson goes out, you don't want to put your 8th best defensive lineman in there to replace him when you can just scoot your 3rd best lineman right to where he was. And he's simple. They just don't. James Williams is the only guy that's like the speed rusher body, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Jaden Jones too. We'll see how much he plays. But like most of these guys that we're talking about are in that 275 to 285 range that I think are going to be playing on the defensive end. They're going to be playing on the edge. Now that doesn't always mean they're going to be like the main pass rusher because you have linebackers that can play the jack. There's going to be guys coming off the edge that are different body types. But I think it's more about what Tony White wants in a defensive line, which is a lot of versatility and a lot of kind of different body types. And he wants them to cross-train at every position to know exactly where they'll play. I think at that body type, 6'6", 275, I don't foresee him being interior that often.
Yeah.
He's going to be kind of an edge setter, but I guess he could be pushed there in a pinch.
Yeah. We spoke to Evan Cooper, safeties coach. We heard about KJ Kirkland. We heard about Edwin Joseph, and we even heard about Shaheem Brown. They've been pushing him hard because of the expectations, because he's been playing so much football, and I guess gave him a little bit of credit for still showing up to work every day and not being a problem. Which
what's that mean? You think?
Yeah, that feels like he's not starting. He's not like running with the ones all that often, right? Because if you're happy that he's showing up and still giving you good effort. It's like that's like ... despite the fact that we're not giving him like prime opportunities. So it's a long season. We'll see how Shaheem works into it. But I thought what he said about KJ Kirkland, Edwin Joseph seems to be one of the other names emerging there at safety if it's not going to be Shaheem Brown. But consistency is what they seem to be chasing after. I like how he said that Norvell calls it Twitter plays, right? Like you make that one big play, the one-handed catch or the diving PBU. But then what happens the next play and the play thereafter? It sounds like they're still searching for consistency, but to be expected. Any kind of revelatory new information? Do you think any better about KJ Kirkland, Edwin Joseph, or even Shaheem after you heard from Evan Cooper on Thursday?
What did he say about Edwin Joseph?
Just that he's been getting more consistent. He's got the highs and the lows, but he's talented. They need more consistency, but he's got the right sort of mind state to go out there and do it. So he's one of those
because
guys.
It feels like, to me, if I was kind of handicapping this race, it feels like it might be Kirkland and Earl Little as your starting safeties, which is a surprise to me. Like KJ Kirkland does have a nice frame, man, and he's obviously been here and he's made some plays, but just the way the way Evan Cooper talked about Shaheem, like Aslan said, saying he's still showing up to work every day. Which is like, why wouldn't he if he was the starter? That's a weird thing to say. Like if he was playing the role he was expecting to play. So the fact that you're praising him for still having a good attitude or working hard, despite, as Aslan said, ... it leads me to believe that Shaheem might not be. It might be Kirkland at that spot. And Earl Little, Edwin Joseph, like those might be your top 3 that you're looking at.
And then with Jabril and then Jerry Wilson and your cornerbacks.
Yeah, or Quindarius or whoever, like Kai Bates. I mean, they'll figure that out.
The top 3 safeties, though, Kirkland, Earl Little, Edwin Joseph.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. It's just interesting. Like Shaheem has played. You can't put a price tag on experience, and Shaheem has a ton of it. But so much of it was bad last year. Not that he was horrible. He just was kind of indicative of the whole defense. And I feel like maybe, I don't know if it's sending a message or KJ Kirkland might just be straight up better than him. And they want Earl Little's physicality on the field at all costs. So Shaheem's kind of the odd man out. But as you said, it is a long season. There's also a chance he could be starting, and we're just reading too much into this. But I think that it sounds like that those are the three: Kirkland, Little, and Joseph. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. They've never played together. They have not played a ton of football, period. And they're kind of getting thrown into the fire against Alabama. But let's see what it looks like. I like Edwin Joseph. I've kind of always liked that kid. Earl Little, we know what he brings as far as the physicality. KJ Kirkland's a wild card. Maybe he's played. I mean, they do mention him a lot.
They do, yes.
You know, so there's something there. Like, they mention him a lot. So he might really be, like, maybe one of the stars of the camp. Like, one of the stars of the preseason where they're like, well, we can't deny this kid. He's going to play. We'll see where it goes. But I liked it. They seem to be so high on KJ Kirkland because, quite frankly, as we enter his senior year, Shaheem Brown, well, I can't say you've been a disappointment when you've been a 2-year starter and had one of the most important block kicks, maybe the most important block kick in Florida State history, and we're a part of an ACC championship team as a starter. Like, it has not been a disappointing career for Shaheem Brown. But per my expectations, what we saw with him as a freshman, what we saw with him early in his career, the fact that Adam Fuller said out loud that he could be one of the best players in the country, one of the best defensive players in the United States. Yep. Last year was a supreme disappointment. If he's not starting this year, that's a disappointment. That is a career that went off the tracks because I thought he was going to be bordering on special, and now we don't even know if he's a starter. So that's not great. That is a disappointment. But maybe Kirkland is the guy. Maybe now Kirkland is a special dude. You know, you never know. I know he wasn't the highest ranked recruit they've ever signed, but some guys play to this status, and let's see. But, yeah, I just thought Shaheem would be more than this. Yeah. Honestly, I thought Shaheem would be so good that he wouldn't even still be here for his senior year.
Yeah,
so that's on me.
The way his trajectory was going. Listen, you're right, man. Like Adam Fuller, when the guy that's paid $2 million a year to coordinate the defense talks about this guy could be one of the best players in the country, you're going to take him for what he's saying at face value. So I don't begrudge you at all for that. The interesting thing, if you would have asked me like who played the most snaps out of Earl Little, KJ Kirkland, and Edwin Joseph, I think I might have been like, I think Edwin Joseph. KJ did start the last 7 games last season. He started 9 at safety. KJ played over 400 snaps last year.
Oh, okay. All right, KJ. Sorry about that. I tried to block out all of that season. So I didn't remember that. Okay, so he's got some experience too. So good. KJ's in the mix. You got a starter there. I think we like what Earl Little can bring. We'll see how it all works on Saturday and moving forward. But, yes, again, and the thing is, man, we've talked about it. Like it was Tony White that said, we talked about this on Headline, like linebackers are kind of the heartbeat of a defense. Right. Because of how they play, their physicality is kind of defines what you are as a defense. If you've got aggressive linebackers that streak through holes at rapid speed, send people backwards, make plays, physical, aggressive, everything you want out of linebackers, that kind of dictates what you're going to be as a defense. That's the personality and identity of your defense. Last year was a bunch of linebackers being in the wrong spot, being tentative, catching tackles, catching blocks, not being as physical as you wanted. The same holds true for your safety position. Like those are linebackers and safeties to me. Corners are out there on by the sidelines a lot of times. You'd like them to be physical, but they don't usually dictate how physical a defense is going to be. It's those 5 guys. It's the 2 safeties, 3 linebackers. Those are the guys. And defensive linemen are all usually big and strong, and are they're on the line of scrimmage. They don't get to run full speed a lot. The linebackers and safeties are the ones that trigger and run full speed and get to impact people very, very violently. And those guys dictate, I think, what your defense is going to be. Just how hard it's going to be. What it's going to be perceived as. The personality, identity, like I said. So so it's a really important position. So Kirkland, Earl Little, Edwin Joseph, Shaheem Brown, I guess Ashland Barker is in the mix a little bit too. Along with those linebackers, that is something we'll be able to. Man, my voice went up there. That is something you'll be able to. Yeah, I know. We'll be able to see, I guess, early on against the likes of Alabama. Is what does that look like? What is that aggression and physicality and just triggering downhill and flying to the football? I want to see the safeties and linebackers because they will dictate a lot.
Decisions. Power or speed, quality or quantity. How about both? How about all? You don't have to sacrifice anything when you choose Brunt Workwear. You're not only going to get durable, well-crafted, resilient workwear, but also really stylish choices that allow you to go ahead and pivot right from the job site to your kids' activities, running errands, or meeting up for drinks after work. And since Brunt Workwear is geared for you, the real worker, they know you got no time to waste. You need those work boots to deliver once you get them in the mail and you lace them up. So enjoy the peace of mind of work boots and gear that are ready to go right out of the box. Got that broken and comfortable feeling day one to give you the comfort and security you want. Use the promo code WAKEUP. I'm going to say it one more time. Wake up. It's all one word. Over at bruntworkwear.com to save $10 off your order. I'm going to say the website again, everybody. You ready? bruntworkwear.com. Use that promo code to save $10 off your order. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Hit the thumbs up, everybody. If you're listening to us on YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening to us on your podcast app of choice, we'd appreciate it. Nole89 Nation, wake up. Aslan, congrats on receiving the catalog of songs using your Wake Up Warchant intro as a birthday present. That said, I do question your music tastes, but that's for another day.
Okay. All right. I like that.
That's a little bit rude. All right, let's bottle up last season's disaster, toss it into the Gulf. He does not specify which Gulf.
Yeah, fair.
We've way too much politics this week on the show, by the way. Way too much.
Right, of course.
What's the most realistic reason to believe this team flips the narrative? Also, how has Mike Norvell's tone shifted this camp versus last year? Is there more urgency? Is there more confidence? Is there more caution? Thanks as always. Well, the narrative, right? So the first one is, what's the most realistic reason to believe the team flips a narrative? I think it's the way the schedule works out, Corey, right? As we talked about earlier in the show, and that by the time you do get to Miami, Kevin Wynn, maybe he's seasoned enough that he's a real player. Maybe the Sear twins are part of it. Maybe Jayson Jenkins kind of really works into game shape and is an impactful player. And then, it's like Gus and Tony, 4 games into a season with a bye week sandwiched in there. Those guys will not allow substandard effort performance to get on the field. I think they will throw guys out there that might be younger, but at least you're going to give them full out effort. Might not be a better result, but I don't think there'll be this continual churn of, all right, we're just going to keep rolling the same guys out there. So, that's, I think, probably the biggest reason for the narrative change, just the standard, the expectations those coordinators have, and the way the schedule kind of shapes itself out.
Yeah, I just think offensively, to me, most of this is about the offense. You've got better players and better coaching. Not to make it as simple as possible, but I just feel that. Last year's offense was an abomination. You've got 11 new starters. Boggs might be the real deal, but Deuce can play. Squirrel can play. Crowmaw might be the real deal. Like, you've got some fun young players. You've got a quarterback that is an absolute wild card. And you've got some, big boy power 4 wide receivers. You got real legitimate power 4 wide receivers. Big boy football. Not guys that have 10 catches in their career. You got real dudes. And you've got a whole offensive line full of 23-year-olds. Some 24, maybe 25. Like, you've got older guys. And I just believe that Gus Malzahn will put out a product that will be worlds better than what we saw last year. Now, I don't know if that means 5 more wins than last year or 8. But it's going to be a substantial amount of wins, and I'm solely convinced because of the OC, really the OC and the QB, but all of them, all 11. The offense is so much better. I'm worried about the defense. I don't know how many elite players are on that side of the ball. It is a different kind of defense. It might be a little harder to learn for some of these guys that were not recruited to play it. But overall, man, I just think that offense is going to be so much better. That's the narrative that I choose to trust.
Marlon Joker, by the way, these are the remaining questions from the Renegade Express mailbag from earlier in the week. So getting to our subscribers, we appreciate them. You can ask your questions, too, if you hop on the Tribal Council, everybody. All right, Marlon Joker, wake up, gents. Corey, you keep saying FSU's got 2 cupcakes after Alabama. But what about a Mike Norvell-led Seminole team lets you believe they will be cupcakes when FSU's loss at Jacksonville State and during the undefeated regular season needed Jordan Travis so bad that it cost... Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Bad. Love the show as always. Well, what did they do to Savannah? Well, not Savannah State. Charleston Southern last year, Marlon, right? Like, for as bad as last year's team was, that Charleston Southern game was never in doubt, which was a very nice, refreshing thing. So, yeah, these... especially East Texas A&M and Kent State. Well, like their head coach got dismissed because he was using a credit card appropriating school funds inappropriately or something along the lines of that. And they were an absolute dreadful team. And when Corey would update us weekly about where Florida State was in terms of total offense or rushing offense, it was that like Kent State and us were just trading off spots every week. It seemed like near the bottom of it. So there's. Yeah, I mean, Wake Forest is a different quote-unquote cupcake than what those two games are, Corey. At least that's my thoughts.
Yeah, man. I mean, East Texas was Division II just a few years ago. They're 4-18 in their 22 games. They're still FCS. It's not like they're even a good FCS team. I think Jacksonville State had players and was had been in the past a good FCS team that had pulled off upsets in the past. This is not that. This is a really bad FCS football team, or has been. Maybe they've had an infusion of talent, but their head coach is 4-18 in his two seasons. They're 4-18 in the last two seasons. So it's not like I'm just picking on an FCS school saying Florida State could never be in a game with one of these. This is a bad FCS school, like Charleston Southern bad, or has been. And then Kent State, as Aslan said, is worse than a number of division or FCS schools. Like they are horrible. They are and have been the worst Division I football team for quite a while now, and they were worse than Florida State. They're like Aslan said, every stat it was Kent State or Florida State at the bottom of the pack. They are. I'm not just picking on schools because they're not big names or because they're in a different division. They're really bad in the division. They're really, really bad. It's not, if Kent State had gone 9-3 last year, I wouldn't be assuming it's going to be an easy win just because it's Kent State. They didn't go 9-3. Yeah. I feel like they were winless. Maybe they went 1-11. So you're talking about two teams that just don't win games, and so that's why I think that's a cupcake.
Yep, 0-12 last year. The Kent State Golden Flashes. By the way, Florida State was a 1.5 point favorite against Clemson in 2023. I did look that up and forgot to bring it.
Oh, that's it. They covered easily then. Yeah. Oh, it was an easy cover.
Were they still called East Texas A&M in 2024? They went 3-9 last year.
Okay, all right. As an FCS team,
yes,
right? They're in the Southland Conference, I think.
Yeah, they lost to Grambling.
So they're 3-9 in a lower division. Yeah.
They did beat Northwestern State. Good for them. Yeah, so, that's the reason why. All right, Mako 3, wake up. Using FSU players from the last 15 years in the Tony White 3-3-5 defense, what would be your all-star lineup? So he goes through here, real ball knower, boundary corner, boundary safety, rover, your field safety, field corner, your boundary defensive end, nose, et cetera, et cetera.
Jack.
Et cetera. Yes, Jack. Yes, Jack Sam linebacker.
The Mike, the Sam, Jack.
Jernigan in the middle. DeMarcus on one side, Mario Edwards on the other?
Yeah, then throw in Telvin, Lamarcus. Just go with the whole 13 defense, Aslan. Yeah. The whole 13 defense will work. Maybe Derwin. I'd throw Derwin in there.
What about Bjorn? Bjorn Warner probably fits in nicely.
I guess he's the last 15 years, yeah. Oh, you know what? Bjorn would be because he is a guy you could move inside too. But Bjorn and Mario
give you versatility.
Because they were both big bodies. Yeah. And then, Jernigan's my guy in the middle. For sure. Telvin, just because he's Telvin. I guess Vince Williams, big kid. They could run better than we ever believed he was. I mean, he turned out to be a really good football player.
Nigel Bradham?
I guess he could be your other. If you need another linebacker, yeah. All right, throw does Nigel count? Is he the last 15 years? I think he sneaks in just under the wire. Yeah. I think 11 was his last year. So, throw in Nigel Bradham. He'd be fun in that. Imagine him coming off the edge and shooting gaps at that with that athleticism. That's a good one. Yeah, Nigel.
What about Roderick Hoskins? What about Terrence Smith? Yeah. I always like Terrence Smith. Terrence Smith was sneaky good.
Not over Telvin and Nigel. And Vince. Those are my guys. That's a good defense, by the way.
That's a good.
And then you have I throw Derwin in there, LaMarcus, Jalen. I was going to say Terrence. I get PJ, Darby, like whoever you want to throw in there, throw in there.
What about, would Renardo be ahead of PJ Williams or Darby in your estimation?
Probably PJ, not Darby.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, man.
Terrence Brooks.
Really
maybe
good.
Terrence Brooks can fit in there somewhere. You love T. Brooks.
Yeah, I love T. Brooks. Yeah, he's a head football coach now in the state of Florida, but I think I'd go Derwin if I'm choosing my other safety.
Our guy Sabaxley, Nolebacks 55, which, man, our guy's in Dothan. He needs this game, man. He needs this game. Corey has shared his story when he attended the choke at Doak that his dad left the stands at the end of the third quarter, and Corey asked where he was going, and his reply was to take some cyanide.
Yeah.
Your dad said that? That's incredible.
Yes, he did.
Shout out John Clark. There were many times last year where I felt the exact way. I know there will be moments this year where I will feel that way again, but overall I'm hoping for a good season. What in your minds constitutes a good season? Is it a certain record? Losing small be considered a good season? Is it growth and development of certain position groups, young talent? What are your thoughts? I love you guys. My thoughts for the upcoming season is best said by Michael Scott. I'm ready to be hurt again.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Good. Yeah, believe again. Believe enough to be hurt.
Well, we mentioned this a few times. Sorry, Corey, to jump you, but yeah, I'll make it quick, usually as I like to do. For me, it's just be in the hunt in November, whether it's a playoff spot or a spot in Charlotte. Just be in the hunt in November, and I think that would be, to me, that's a good season. And I think it's even better than a good season, but I think that's my kind of bar for this team this year.
Yeah, the problem with that, and I don't disagree necessarily, is that you've got those hard games there at the end of the season. So if you fizzle out at the end, I don't think people will be like, well, we were in the hunt November 10th, but then we lost 2 of our last 3 or 3 of our last 4. So, oh, well, still a good season, though. Like, I think that leaves such a sour, bad taste in your mouth. Is there a win total? I mean, as we've been saying for 8 or 9 months, I would feel like 8 would be considered a good is such a odd word. Yeah. Tolerable.
Okay, nice.
8 wins is 8 wins is tolerable. Mm. Anything below 8, in my opinion, with the resources you put into this thing, with the money you're spending on these coaches, and frankly on this roster, all the upgrades you made, if you go 7-5, which means it's short of just like an incredible rash of injuries, if you go 7-5, as I've made the point many times, you've really gone 5-5 because you're starting this season 2-0. Unless Kent State and East Texas turn out to be great, you're starting this season 2-0. The administration has given you 2 wins. So if you can only go 5-5 in the next 10, with Tony White as your DC, Gus Malzahn as your OC, all these guys from all these schools that you paid money for, that is not a good season. That is not a good season. But at the same time, no, it wouldn't be a good season. There's no way I'd qualify that as good. It could maybe be made tolerable if, like, let's say you lose 3 of them on last-second field goals or a crazy fumble in the end zone. Like, you are competitive in every game. You take Clemson to the wire in Death Valley. You beat Florida, but maybe you lose, at NC State or something. Like, there's a way the number could be tolerable if it looks a certain way and feels a certain way. But, man, it better look and feel pretty darn good somehow in a loss, because the days that this needs to be the last time that a 4-loss season in the ACC is considered tolerable. But it is. Amen. I mean, coming off what they've come off, I mean, you are where you are. I think you could tolerate 8-4. I think good is 9 wins. That is a good season, because that means you beat 1 of the 4. Maybe you beat 2 of the 4 and lost a crazy one. It also means, to Aslan's point, you are absolutely in the hunt in November. You might be in the hunt for the playoff. You're not going to make it, but you might be in the hunt in November for the playoff. So I say 9 or more is good. 8 is tolerable. Anything less than that is very, very problematic.
Couldn't say it any better.
There we go.
I'm glad I went first. All right, last one.
Yeah.
Random_John. Good morning, Aslan and Corey. Let's talk about something other than Alabama. As we all know, they're going to lose.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to talk about those losers.
I want to get some.
Is he talking about Florida State is going to lose?
No.
Oh, okay, he's talking about Alabama going to lose. All right, good.
Tide's going down. All right, I want to get some insight into Aslan. We all know the beloved folks at Warchant are each known for a catchphrase. Corey's got our number 2.
Yep,
Yabba dabba doo. Jeff's got yay sausage. Ira choking on the Don Julio mid-shot is legendary. Aslan, what is your phrase when FSU knocks off Alabama? What phrase will you grace our ears with? Corey, feel free to help out Aslan if he's too humble. Maybe sing it to him. Go Noles. I don't know. What can I do? I don't know what I would say if they beat Alabama. I can't do suck at Alabama. That's a Jeff Cameron thing too as well.
Yeah,
so.
Suck at Bama. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Roll try. Maybe I'll do a real roll. I'll hold it for a long time. And then
what are you doing? Roll Tide?
Roll Tribe. If we beat them, right?
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if we want to start the next show with that. I assume we're going to be recording that day anyway, even though it's a Labor Day. It's a holiday.
Oh, my goodness. That's right.
I feel like we'll still probably get together on Sunday.
We'll labor after the coordinators interview.
After the coordinators, that's right. Ruining our vacation, ruining our holiday, Gus and
making
Tony.
Making us labor.
But there's a good game that Sunday, right? Maybe it's Miami Notre Dame. There's something on Sunday after the Florida State Alabama game. There's a marquee game on Sunday night. I think it might be Miami Notre Dame, but I'm not 100% sure.
Sunday, August 31st, 7:30 p.m. Notre Dame at Miami.
Boom. So we leave Tony and Gus. Gus will be 8 minutes. He ain't going to talk long. So that's like at 6:15. We'll be out of there by 6:45. I'm off to the CP to watch Miami and Notre Dame. I'll be there in plenty of time. Then we'll have to record a show.
That's right. We got labor.
The
coordinator thing is awesome until you realize that we have lives.
Well, it's just the one game. I don't care any other Sunday, but that's a game I want to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll record it live from Corner Pocket to celebrate
the
win over Alabama. People be in a festive mood. I don't know what you can do, Aslan. I would say you could sing. You could sing it. You just like you sang to the girl in high school.
Oh,
you could record like an audio cassette of you singing something.
Should I sing "Sweet Home Alabama" or something?
But you could do that. You could I don't know. There's a lot of options. You could do like a play on Forrest Gump.
Yeah. The Tony Watt defense is like a box of chocolates. All right, we'll figure it out. If anybody's got a better idea, let us know.
That sounded good to me, man. I felt we go with that. You're a gifted mimic. You're a gifted impressionist, man. You should do that more often.
I try. Got to have some redeeming quality to stay on the best podcast in the land. Thanks for listening to another week of us gab and prattle on here. We appreciate it. Check out warchant.com in the meantime. Again, no availability, but Florida State will be practicing the next few days. We'll try to see if we can piece together maybe some sources says material for you, but there's a lot to write about, a lot to talk and analyze as we've been speaking to everybody for the last several days. So check out warchant.com. Recruiting news going on as well. Jeff Cameron Show with Tom Lang. Lots of stuff to keep you occupied as we get ready for game week. Next time we talk, it's going to actually be game week. Cannot wait. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.